The other day, my girlfriend came to me saying that she had a deck idea for Ultimecia from the unreleased Final Fantasy set, a standard Theorycraft, and she wanted to test it out. So we jumped on the tabletop simulator and I grabbed a meta net deck for her to try it against. Her deck idea centers around using Agatha's Soul Cauldron to give Ultimecia a cheap transform ability, and then lock the game by transforming her back and forth in the same turn to take infinite extra turns. I dead grabbed an Omniscience list. I'm not really familiar with the standard metagame. What I tend to play is a lot closer to kitchen table Magic, only using whatever I open in Magic Arena, and I barely ever spend wild cards, so this is pretty new to me. I fumbled through the combo, but ultimately was able to pull it off. We played a few games, tinkering with her deck to make it more consistent, and ultimately, it seemed like a pretty strong idea, albeit still needing refinement. Later, I built my own future standard Theorycraft that tries to OTK the opponent using Summoner's Grimoire to put Summon Primal Odin directly into play, tapped and attacking, and then proliferate once so that mid-combat they gain the ability to knock out an opponent with a single hit. We pit these two ideas against each other, and they both seem to have a lot of potential as standard combo decks. A few days later, I saw the preview for Stolen Uniform, and my brain started ticking with what you could do with it. It reads as a counter to equipment decks, letting you steal an opponent's best equipment, and either taking them out with it, or just preventing them from using it for a turn. But it doesn't actually say that it needs to target equipment you don't control. So you can actually use it to instant speed equip anything on the cheap. Now, it looks like there are going to be a lot of equip for free abilities in Final Fantasy, so it's very possible that there's just going to be better options for what I have in mind, but being in blue is still kind of novel, since the free equip ability is usually a red or white effect. Anyway, I looked through the standard equipment list and I found the Aether Spark. The Aether Spark doesn't have an equip cost at all. It normally equips by using its first loyalty ability. This means that normally, once it's equipped, it can't use its loyalty abilities anymore for that turn, but I could equip it some other way, and then get an attack through, which will then turn the damage into bonus loyalty, and then still use the ability in my second main phase. With Aether Spark costing 4 mana and Stolen Uniform costing 1, you only need 5 mana and a creature with 6 or more power from a previous turn to play the spark, equip it, attack, and ultimate all in the same turn before your opponent has the chance to deal with it. What does it do again? 10 mana of any one color. That's enough to cast Omniscience. Having just played an Omniscience-based combo, I clearly see the line to win from there, and while I don't think that this build could win as fast, it might just have fewer points of interaction to get disrupted by your opponent. It really does feel pretty straightforward. If we have a Colossal Rattleworm and a Desert in play, we can actually flash that in at the end of turn 4, and then immediately play our Aether Spark, equip it to the Rattleworm, and attack on turn 5 with really no options for our opponents to deal with it. Unlike the meta combo, we don't have to get Omniscience into the graveyard first, risking our opponent having graveyard interaction, and also adding just a whole extra step to the combo. It's really just 4 pieces, 5 if you include the Desert, but just Colossal Rattleworm, Aether Spark, Stolen Uniform, and Omniscience. And then, yes, we still have to have the rest of the combo, but with just a few draw spells, we can loop through our deck to find the rest of the pieces. If you don't know it, you basically need 2 copies of Invasion of Arcavios to have one search for something like Haunt the Network, and the other find something like This Town Ain't Big Enough. Then you bounce both copies of Arcavios, have one of them return Haunt the Network, have the other one return This Town Ain't Big Enough, recast both the spells, and just keep looping. It's actually surprisingly elegant. Again, this is a meta deck, probably you've heard of it before, but I don't dabble in the meta, so I didn't know how it worked, and it was pretty cool to figure it out as I went. So that's 3 Theorycrafts for what we could do when Final Fantasy comes around. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of decks, but for the time being, all we got is ideas. Ultimecia combo, Odin ODK, Aether Spark Omniscience. It's gonna be wild.